All right, and we are live. So welcome back to Dapp University. So today we got lots to talk about in our stream. Okay, we're gonna talk about the future of Web 3.0 and what that looks like, and how a critical piece of that puzzle is here today. Okay, I want to talk about that, why it's important, why you need to understand. We're gonna look at a lot of the other developments, news updates that have happened in the space since our live stream yesterday. Again, we do these live streams Monday through Friday on this channel. Just subscribe, turn on notifications. You'll find out about those whenever we go live. We're going to, probably take a quick peek at the crypto markets, answer some of your questions, and a whole lot more. So if you're new around here, hey, I'm Gregory, and on this channel, I turn you into a blockchain master. So if that's something that you're interested in, then smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm and subscribe to this channel. And if you want to learn how to master blockchain step by step, start to finish, then head on over to dappuniversity.com/bootcamp to get started today. All right, so we got people jumping in the chat here. We got Automatic Beats, Pritham, David Stone, Michael, Liam, Machiavelli. Let's see here, Robert. Welcome, Jake and Agnes Lee. So let's go ahead and jump into this. Let's talk about the future of Web 3.0 and a critical piece that we need in order to make this technology really achieve its full potential. All right. So if anybody has come in the Web 3.0 space and tried to use applications, they're met with a problem of there's all these blockchains out there, right? And you don't know which one's going to take off over the long term. And you get into one, you might get into one that has a lot of apps on it, like Ethereum, for example, and you say, oh, it's too slow, it's too expensive, like nobody's ever going to use this stuff. And if you've watched this channel for a long time, or if you haven't, I'll just make this clear. I have a pretty strong view of the Ethereum ecosystem and what the potential that has for the future, about being one of the most decentralized options out there in terms of decentralized applications, incredibly neutral blockchain infrastructure. But it does have a problem, right? It has some scaling issues. That's okay. That's been a part of the Ethereum ethos for a long time, which is basically to get a blockchain out there before anybody else, get it working, get users. That's happened. And the goal has always been to sort of fix the plane while it's flying to create Ethereum 2.0. Now, the good news is you don't have to wait for Ethereum 2.0 to arrive before we can make Ethereum much faster and cheaper to use. Because lots of people think that's what you have to do. You have to wait for ETH 2.0 to come out to make that better. And that's not true. You basically, it's not going to fix all those problems, all right? That's what layer 2 scaling solutions are for. So this is where you create a new environment on top of Ethereum where you can batch off a lot of the transactions. And, or you can take a lot of the activity and put it on this layer and then settle that back on the main Ethereum chain, or use the main Ethereum chain to make those transactions valid. So we've seen lots of layer 2s explode onto the scene over the past year and change, okay? And today we have one coming onto the scene in a testnet that I'm incredibly excited about, that I think has a really good shot at being a leader in this space, okay? And I'm going to talk about why in this video, and that's here now, and you can actually use it if you're a developer or just a user of the chain. So let me just pull it to my screen here. I'm also going to invite my co-host Walshy onto the screen here. So Walshy's, if you just joining the streams the first time in the past month or so, Walshy's been helping me prep for these streams, been helping me add a ton of value. If you have anything you want to talk about in our streams, definitely you can submit those to Walshy on Twitter. You can see his Twitter handle there. So let's go ahead and just jump into this. So ZK Sync 2.0 public testnet is live. So like I said a minute ago, layer 2 scaling solutions, in my opinion, are a really critical piece for Web 3.0 adoption. I think Ethereum has a really, really good shot at being a leader in this space, okay? And for that reason, layer 2s are critical to helping Ethereum scale. And I'm super excited about ZK Sync 2.0 with their testnet that is now live. So what's the TLDR on this? All right. So why am I so excited about ZK Sync? Well, basically, there's different types of layer 2 scaling solutions out there. You can do things where some of those popular ones right now are like Optimism and Arbitrum, for example. All right, I'll just pull this on my screen. You can actually look at a website like this, l2beat.com, to see the different layer 2 scaling solutions out there and what they do and like their adoption. Okay, so Arbitrum and Optimism are two of the most popular ones. All right, these are under the universal, okay, so general purpose scaling solutions. And basically that means developers can just build whatever they want to. So as opposed to some of these like DYDX, it's just for the application DYDX specific. All right, so we have ZK Sync coming on the scene that's a general purpose layer 2 like Optimism and Arbitrum, but it works differently under the hood. All right, so Optimism and Arbitrum are what's called optimistic rollups. So essentially, you know, they use some extra, they have what's called extra trust assumptions associated with it, right? If you try to use Optimism or Arbitrum, you might notice that there's a delay time to withdraw your funds or confirm transactions that to get off the networks themselves. That's because of how they're created. Basically, they have this extra infrastructure that has to do that. You can bypass it with things like Hop Protocol, but with ZK Sync, you have this added benefit of using something called ZK snarks, or basically using zero knowledge cryptography to actually help secure these transactions and ensure they're valid. Okay, so basically, what that does is it uses math and cryptography to validate transactions instead of the other way that basically the optimistic rollups does. And one thing that does is it gives you much faster transaction finality. So you can basically do things like bypass the wait time. You don't have to wait to get your funds off the network. You can get on and off really easily. And it's also, it also supports things like Solidity now, which before, when people were super excited about zero knowledge rollups, basically they was like, oh, this is cool, but then you got to rewrite your app. But this is totally different, where it has a Solidity compiler. So if you have an app that works on Ethereum, all you have to do is point it towards something like ZK Sync, and it just ports over. So with minimal changes, if any. So you've got a way for developers to now easily put applications on this network so they can grow. You've got faster, cheaper transactions, and you've also got the ability to get on and off the network for the end user, really quickly. Okay, so those are some of the biggest reasons that I'm excited about this network long term. All right, and I really do think that this is where all of Web 3.0 is headed, is towards this sort of modular blockchain future with all these layers built on top of it, rather than just trying to create single blockchains that are fast, that make some sort of compromise that undermines the decentralization aspect of Web 3.0 long term. And that this is a really critical piece of that. All right, so you can look more about this. It's just on the Matter Labs ZK Sync testnet live post here. You can see different bridges that you can get on and off. You have fiat on and off ramps if you want to use it. Chainlink is available on there for data oracles. You can use Graph Protocol for indexing and searching. Basically, you can use MetaMask. Any familiar wallet that you're used to, you can use. That's a great thing for end users too. Basically, we've got block explorers. You can look at transactions. I mean, just pretty much everything is there in terms of fundamentals for the space to start growing. So I'm going to put a link in the live chat replay if you want to look at that. We can also look at sort of the general state of layer 2s in general. That's not really much to say. General state of layer 2s in general. We can look at the state of layer 2s in general to see what they're doing. If you look at the adoption, this looks pretty bad if you look on my screen here, but that's, in US dollar terms. All right. So this is a metric called total value locked, or TVL. And basically what this means is it's the US dollar value of all the crypto assets on this layer 2 network itself. So, this might look kind of bad, but if you have to understand, the crypto prices have been really choppy and been going down, especially like the ETH price. Okay. So if you look at in US dollar terms, it's going to look kind of like the crypto markets. But if you look at in ETH terms, all right, it actually looks like pretty good, steady adoption over the past 90 days. Now, of course, you see a little bit of plateau up here, right? But this is not a downward trend by any stretch of the imagination. And I think some of these types of things will be, kind of volatile, like the crypto markets in general, because that's kind of what happens with user adoption anyway. It's usually not this linear trajectory. It's usually kind of has these jumps in it, right? It's like a 3 steps forward, 1 step back situation, maybe. And that's kind of what it looks like here, especially if you narrow down on ETH terms. Now, even this will have some impact based on other crypto prices as to how they change relative to ETH, the ETH price. So, lots of ones to watch out for. Definitely check out this list. I'll put the link to l2beat.com and live chat replay right now, so you can check that out if you want to follow the layer 2 space and what's happening here. Yeah, I'm really excited for ZK Sync 2.0 and their public testnet. So if you're a developer, you should be able to get started with this pretty fast, create your own applications, play around with it, push it over there. And if you're a user, you should be able to likewise, play around and use things. You can try the test network before you try the mainnet if you want to just, tinker without risking any real money. That's a really good way to do it too.
Yeah, that was super well said. I really don't have too much to add here. One thing I do want to mention, though, developers, is that BitDAO recently provided a $200 million grant to the ZK Sync ecosystem. So if you are a developer, you're looking to, again, develop for ZK Sync, there is grants available as well. That's all I really have.
Yeah, that's actually a good thing because, sometimes this might even be an opportunity for people who are like kind of looking to, get their foot in the door. Maybe get their first job is you might be some paid opportunities to create something, even if you don't have a ton of experience at, for this, right? And that may not turn into your job, but that could be a type of thing where you, who knows, you could get paid to create some sort of thing that could get you a job, right? And if you make something for the ecosystem, you're going to get noticed. I'll put it that way. Whether it's in the ecosystem or whether when you're applying, you can say, hey, I did this. I mean, a lot of times employers will look at like open source contributions, to see what developers are doing and test their sort of competency and the fact that they're going above and beyond rather than just, putting in the bare minimum at their job. So open, ecosystem contribution would have similar weight, in my opinion, if not more.
So yeah, we actually had a conversation about this earlier, just to echo your point there. Yeah, we were talking about the best way to get noticed. I think it was like last week. And yeah, developing a portfolio is definitely up there. And then, of course, if you were to receive a grant, I mean, fill in the blank.
Yeah, totally. So let's see here. Somebody says, I need the roadmap to blockchain development. It looks like moderator just deleted the message. So it's go to my YouTube homepage. You can find the video pin there. It's how to become a blockchain developer in 2022. That's got the complete roadmap on it. Follow everything inside of there. And that's going to be a high likelihood that you will arrive at your destination. Okay, so let's look at a couple of things that have happened in the space since yesterday. Let me pull a screen here. So we do have some talk that California is considering making Bitcoin legal tender. I don't know if this is going to actually happen, and if it does, we don't know if it's really going to matter. We saw this recently with a couple other states. Was it Arizona? I think that was the one that was talking about trying to make Bitcoin legal tender. So what's the latest on this, Walshy?
Yeah, no, you're right. Arizona has also done similar. Texas has done something similar as well as Wyoming, of course. Wyoming is one of the best states. They've also opened their doors to DAOs being basically incorporated. So those 4 states are now pushing forth initiatives. There isn't too much to report. This is really exciting. However, again, any kind of legislation that wants to incorporate crypto, regardless of BTC, ETH, whatever, as legal tender is something that we should all be supportive of. So famous BTC maxi Dennis Porter and Ian Calderon introduced this bill. For our live stream viewers, I'm actually going to go ahead and post this in the chat. Because there is a public version of this in which you can help support. If you live in California, you can help support this. But they put forth a bill exclaiming just that Bitcoin to be legal tender in the state of California. That's really it. That's really the whole article. There isn't too much more to report on. I know it's a little short-winded there, but it's just yet another state that is moving forward to make crypto more incorporated into our everyday lives. And, I'm a huge proponent of that, regardless of which crypto it actually happens to be.
Yeah, totally. So I definitely echo the, positivity of states pushing for, crypto to be legal tender. Last time we saw this in Arizona, we talked about how, part of the thing is it something that really is kind of, maybe even just flattering or a name only, or is it legal tender and name only, and not have all the functions of a legal tender, because basically we have things that are enforced at the state level versus things that are enforced at the federal level. And this is, I'm not a legal expert, but this is sort of my understanding of how it would work. I'm not a tax expert either. No, this is tax advice. But basically, one of the appeals to making Bitcoin legal tender is that, it's a valid form of payment, that you're not taxed whenever prices change. So the whole idea is that, if you have, like how it works now, and again, this is not tax advice, not consider myself to be a tax expert, but these are the rules that I play by. So if, like, let's say I had, just for easy numbers, like 1 Bitcoin, and I got it 5 years ago, whatever it is, right? And then I use part of that Bitcoin to buy something. Let's say I bought, a computer or something like that. Then I would have to take, whatever amount of BTC that I use to buy that computer, I have to pay a tax on the amount of gain that price of that portion of Bitcoin has increased since I purchased it. Okay, so that's called realizing the gain. All right, and you have to factor in taxes. So again, not a tax expert here, but my understanding is essentially if you're trying to make something a legal tender, the benefit is that it's just a Bitcoin. You're not always thinking about it use US dollar terms whenever you sell things. Now you could price it on the market that way. And a merchant could always fluctuate how much, Bitcoin something costs whenever they're selling something. They could do the calculation themselves, but like one of the benefits of legal tender is like you just use it to pay for stuff. You're not like paying taxes whenever the price changes. So again, not an expert here. That's my understanding, but how this would really, the challenge in the United States, from my understanding on this, is that, you got federal taxes and you got state taxes. Okay. So just because the state will make it legal tender doesn't mean that the IRS is not going to tax you if your Bitcoin goes up in price whenever you use it to purchase something, right? There's lots of other things about legal tender that give it a certain status and certain benefits. I think that's one of the biggest ones people will potentially be excited about. But we're kind of caught between a rock and a hard place because it wouldn't change anything at the federal level. So if you are a legal expert or a tax expert or both, and you want to chime in on this, definitely you can chime in now or leave a comment down in the comment section below. Let me know if you think, let me know if you have different thoughts on that. If I'm wrong, I'd love to know why. But yeah.
And one last thing to add again, guys, you can actually vote. If you're a resident of California, you can vote to support this bill as well. I will link the actual vote itself in our live chat one more time.
So another thing that came up that I definitely want to talk about is this is an old story. This is a very, very, very old story. But if you've been in the crypto space for a long time, you might think you're going to get a lot out of this. If you're new, I'll still explain why this is important. So basically, new research claims to identify the man who hacked the DAO. Okay. So what is this? Well, you see this word DAO, which stands for Decentralized Autonomous Organization. And, we see DAOs all over the place now, right? We've got lots of different DAOs, like basically all the DeFi protocols out there, a lot of the big, crypto projects, Lido, et cetera, have DAOs behind them, right? That govern lots of aspects of those projects, okay? Particularly around treasury management. So it just stands for Decentralized Autonomous Organization, DAO. Today we have many DAOs, but back then there was a project specifically called the DAO, okay? This is something very different, the DAO. And this is back on Ethereum, and this is almost like a prehistoric Ethereum project. Okay, this was one of the early experiments with smart contracts. When Ethereum was pretty much, kind of the only, the only one in town who was doing this type of thing. So, the DAO is a project that was, created on Ethereum with smart contracts. It was hacked in 2016, and it was essentially, I can't remember how big the hack was. It was huge at the time. $60 million. Okay. Today, that seems kind of like nothing because we see bigger hacks happen now. But you have to understand that back then, because this was an early thing and people had such high hopes for this, that it absolutely killed so many people's dreams that Ethereum would ever do anything. Like they thought it was just dead. They thought it was just over. One of the reasons for this is we actually had some interference by the Ethereum community back then, and we forked the chains. All right, so we had 2 different blockchains as a result. You might have heard of Ethereum Classic. Well, that's where it comes from. So basically, this is a huge part of Ethereum's history, and for the long time, we, publicly, we have not confirmed who we know this person is, and still, we don't necessarily have final confirmation. But it looks like stories are developing that they think they might know who it is based on, some blockchain analytics from Chainalysis that claim to identify who is behind the hack here. We got this kind of floating around the news, so definitely keep an eye on this. It's a big long time question mark.
Yeah, exactly right. This is a little before my time, but I know how important this entire saga was to not only Ethereum's history, but to crypto's history. This story was broke by a Forbes journalist. Her name is Laura Shin. She's writing a book and is working with Chainalysis to put pieces together. And she uncovered this during her research. The actual methods that they used to figure out where who it was. Apparently, they followed some of the crypto from the hack. It got mixed into mixed, using a mixer, which basically anonymizes or attempts to anonymize the original sender, the original owner of that crypto, and then it was sent to 4 different exchanges. But then that was swapped to Grin, and then was put into a node with the actual name of the person. We're gonna refrain from saying the names just due to the ongoing case and respect and all that. But the name of the node was the name of the perpetrator, right? And at the same IP address was also their exchange as well. So it's technically not conclusive, but it's still very close.
Yeah,
when the IP lines up, when the names line up. This guy's Twitter handle even had the same name in it. He had email addresses with the same name. So again, it's pretty right?
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't look good, that's for sure, right? We definitely want to wait until all the details come together before we have a final verdict, but doesn't look good, right? So do we know exactly when those transactions took place, like when they mixed the funds and stuff like that? Was that a more recent thing? Were they dormant?
I'm not sure. I don't have conclusive details.
Yeah.
But to your point, obviously, this means that, and we've made this point several times in the last couple of weeks here, that and I actually just tweeted this as well. I retweeted someone who made a great point about this, that people say that crypto is for criminals and crypto is a place to hide your cash and to do shady stuff. But the reality of the situation is that everything is just about everything is traceable, right? And everything has some kind of link that can go back to the sender. So I mean, to say that only criminals utilize crypto is just such a false argument and so wrong in so many different ways, especially when law enforcement and institutions and governments are all involved in crypto. So anyone, if you run into anyone IRL that comes at you with that argument, oh, crypto is only for criminals, etc., no, not at all. It's the most visible currency, financial instrument, period, in human history, period.
Yeah. I mean, big time criminals have a big there's a big bounty placed on their head. I mean, small time petty crime, nobody's gonna come after you probably, but big time, yeah. It's hard to hide. At least now history is proving that it's hard to hide. Okay, so let's see here. Yeah, but even then we have let's see here. Hold on it. All right, let's do a couple questions here, and then I'm gonna probably jump off a little bit earlier today.
A couple questions about your course, asking how much is it? Is it a good way to refresh skills or build skills?
So yeah, basically it's designed for people who are it's designed for people who want to learn blockchain from scratch, who are already, a tech developer and want to transition into the blockchain.
Question about ZK Sync supporting NFTs.
Yeah, let's see here. The by definition, it's an Ethereum virtual machine compatible layer. So an NFT will work on there. ERC-721 token should work. The question is it going to have the full network effect of other chains in terms of what you can do with NFTs, in terms of trading them on a marketplace, in terms of being able to have other people who are going to be purchasing NFTs on there? Like, are the popular NFT projects going to exist on these layers as well? Well, that really is up to the users in many ways and the people who are bootstrapping the ecosystems. Now, that being said, there's gonna be lots of incentives to do this, right? Because if you're the first, marketplace, or you're the first project that's fully supported on a popular scaling solution like this, like there's a huge potential upside. So because incentives are in place, that I expect that we will see stuff like that. But as of this point in time, it's a blank slate. Right. There's no guarantee of what's going to happen, but those are the factors that would likely cause those things to occur.
Also, on the official ZK Sync wallet, you can mint NFTs as well, just directly through the wallet, which is pretty cool. How do you create a popular NFT project?
Definitely go check out some of the videos I put out recently about this. The way that you are likely going to increase how you're going to increase the likelihood of success on this based on a couple of factors. I would follow, like right now, definitely one popular option is to follow the trend of what everybody's doing in terms of, doing an NFT drop, having a limited number, letting people show up to the drop and mint the NFTs from scratch. And then there's a maximum amount. And then either they're minting for free or you're receiving some amount of, funds from that project. That's about creating a website. It's got scarcity. It advertises when it's going to happen. It says, here's the countdown timer. Here's how many NFTs are going to be minted. And then it's, you basically need a concept for the NFT. All right. You need some sort of, thing that you think is going to resonate with people, whether it's a similar theme to one of the trending projects now or something entirely new. All right, you start with the concept, you do the artwork for that. All right, and then you get all that ready. We did all this stuff at the NFT masterclass, by the way. And so you get all that ready, you get it in a format, and the last final piece is essentially marketing that project. And so there's lots of different ways to do this. The most straightforward way for kind of normal people is just boots on the ground type marketing. It's, joining Discord servers, networking with other people, creating a social media account, maybe even partnering with influencers, getting on NFT drop websites, all that type of stuff. The more eyeballs you can get on your project, but you want to have that website in place that explains what it does. And an even better thing to anxiously add is a roadmap as well. So that's the last question I got time for today. As always, smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. That really helps these videos out so more people can learn about blockchain. If there's anything you want to talk about in our live streams, definitely you can ping Walshy on Twitter. His Twitter handle is right there below his avatar. So, if you're as fast with this technology as I am, you want to get your hands dirty, how can you get started today? You go to my YouTube homepage. You can find my free courses there. They're like Udemy courses, but they're totally free. And if you like those and you want to take the next step, or hey, maybe you want to take a master shortcut entirely, I can show you become a blockchain master step-by-step, start to finish, over at dappuniversity.com/bootcamp. All right. You don't have to be an expert to get started today. I thought people with zero coding experience become real-world blockchain developers in a matter of months. So that's all I've got. And until next time, thanks for watching Dapp University.